The sudden passing of longtime Republican Senator Lindsey Graham earlier this week has created a scramble to replace him on the ballot for his seat in South Carolina. And as of now, no clear frontrunner has emerged in the GOP special primary to replace him. Those candidates are getting ready to officially file just 4 days from now. In the meantime, my next guest is hoping that she can capitalize on all that uncertainty in an attempt to flip a Senate seat in a solidly red MAGA stronghold. Let's bring in Dr. Annie Andrews, the Democratic nominee in the South Carolina Senate race. She's also a licensed pediatrician. Dr. Andrews, it's good to see you this morning. I want to begin with the president's speech. I don't know if you heard any of my conversation in the last block about the lies, frankly, that the president told last night. As someone who is actively running a race in these midterm elections, how worried about sort of our democracy and the rhetoric and the potential damage his words and selective drops of information may be fundamentally to our system?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. The threats to our democracy are clear and present. It's one of the reasons that I decided to get in this race over a year ago. When I'm talking to voters all across the state of South Carolina, they're worried about election integrity, but they're also worried about the corruption that really is degrading American democracy every single day, which is why it is so urgent that Democrats win up and down the ballot in November so that we can do things like ending partisan gerrymandering and passing term limits and banning members of Congress from trading stock and getting dark money out of politics so that we can increase the resilience in this democracy. And we owe it to the future generations of Americans to pass down a healthy democracy. And it really has never been at more risk than it is now, which is just why it's so urgent that Democrats are running all across this country and that people do everything they can to help us win on November 3rd.
As you travel through South Carolina, can you tell me what those conversations are that help you connect with people who likely have voted for Senator Graham in the past? I mean, he's been such a force until his surprise passing. I think people just assumed, that he would essentially sail through this process. So how now do you have dialogue with people who may, frankly, not have much connection to the Democratic Party, might not have paid much attention until more recently to your campaign? What are the key issues that allow you to build a relationship there?
Yeah, his loss was profound and tragic, and a reminder for all of us that life is bigger than politics. But even though over the weekend who I'm running against changed, who I am running for did not change. And I've been crisscrossing the state of South Carolina for over a year now, talking to voters about their frustrations with what they see as a broken Washington, D.C. Here in South Carolina, people are worried about losing their health insurance. They're worried about their rural health clinic or rural hospital closing as a result of these Medicaid budget cuts. They're frustrated by the rising gas prices due to this unnecessary overseas war. They're worried about paying their grocery bill and keeping the lights on at the end of the day. So we've made great progress building a people-powered movement all across the state of South Carolina over the past year that does not just include Democrats, but it includes Republicans and independents who understand that the Republican Party has grown so extreme and has left them behind. I'm not a career politician. I'm a pediatrician and a mom of 3 public school kids who just wants to go to Washington, D.C., roll up my sleeves and get the job done.
Do you feel like you've gotten the support from National Democrats, the DNC, throughout the course of this whole race in the last few days? Do you think they're paying enough attention to South Carolina?
So I think there's a lot we can do to increase investment in the South. But what I'm more concerned about is if I'm earning the support of voters across the state of South Carolina. And we've been working so hard on this campaign to do exactly that. Before the events of this weekend, we actually had a poll that showed us in a statistical tie. My campaign has raised over $11 million. We have over 2,000 volunteers across the state. People are responding to my campaign across South Carolina because they see that I am a fighter. They see that I am not someone who seeks to be a career politician, that I want to solve problems. And now more than ever, we need doctors elected all up and down the ballot because America's broken healthcare system must be fixed urgently. We need to protect Medicaid. We need to stop these impending Medicaid budget cuts. We need to fully fund the CDC and the NIH. And when I'm elected, I'll do everything in my power to impeach and remove RFK Jr. And those talking points, that agenda is resonating all across the state.
Can I ask you, your state hasn't had a Democratic senator since, I believe, 2005. What do you think happened to the Democratic brand in your state? And how long does it take, and what does it take, I guess, to build it back? I don't know if it's just you, your story, the work that you've done as a physician, a pediatrician, that can make the difference here, or if it's a larger project that needs to be undertaken in South Carolina and across the South to say the Democratic Party stands with you. You may not have thought about us for a couple decades, but here we are.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, but rather than looking about what hasn't worked in the past, I really want to look forward. There's a lot of exciting things happening in South Carolina. We just had a primary election on June 9th with record Democratic voter turnout. We just had in Abbeville, South Carolina, a Democratic woman, Black female, was elected mayor in a district in a city that Donald Trump won by double digits. So things are happening in the South. It's not really my prerogative to discuss what the national party is thinking about, but people here in the South feel left behind by Washington, D.C. And it's not just Democrats in the South, it's Democrats, independents, and Republicans. We drive across the roads that are overcrowded and filled with potholes. Our kids are going to failing schools, and our rural health clinics are closed. These problems transcend partisan voting patterns. It's Democrats' job to learn how to clearly communicate to the voters what it is we will fight for, not just what we're fighting against, but what we believe in and what we will fight for. Then when we are given the privilege to serve, we need to roll up our sleeves and get the job done and stop playing politics in Washington, D.C. And then when we do deliver results, we need to come back and remind our constituents what it is we have done to help make their lives better.
Dr. Annie Andrews, thank you so much for your time today.